Marco Bezzecchi was so slow on Friday in Brazil that his own team struggled to explain it. 20th on the timesheets, 2 seconds off the front. A rider who looked lost on a circuit nobody had raced before. Then Sunday happened, and the man who could not find the track on Friday led every single lap of the Grand Prix, won by 3 seconds, and made Ducati look like they didn't belong in the same race. And understanding what that reversal means, not just for this weekend, but for where this championship is actually going, starts with a number that Ducati cannot explain away. 101. That is the number of consecutive Grand Prix laps Marco Bezzecchi has led across his last 4 race victories. Not led at some point. Led every single one. Not a single lap in those 4 races was controlled by anyone other than him. Only 4 riders in the modern MotoGP era had ever won 4 consecutive Grand Prix before Brazil: Valentino Rossi, Marc Marquez, Jorge Lorenzo, and Francesco Bagnaia. Bezzecchi has now joined that list as an Aprilia rider on a manufacturer that had never won 4 races in a row in the Premier class before this season. "The guys are working incredibly hard," he said after Goiânia. "Their dedication is truly impressive. I can't help but give my all as well." That dedication had been invisible on Friday. His times were buried at the bottom of the order, and the team spent the evening pulling the bike apart looking for answers. He admitted it had been genuinely hard to keep his head up through it. "It was super tough on Friday. We started in a bad way, and it was difficult to keep the motivation super high." Then Valentino Rossi sent him a message before Sunday's race. "Great job, Bez. Go for it." He believed it, and the championship leader is now 11 points clear of his own teammate. Before we go any further, if you enjoy real MotoGP analysis, the politics, the power shifts, the stories behind the results, subscribe. Now, back to what Sunday in Brazil actually revealed. Because Saturday had looked like a Ducati reset. Marc Marquez won the sprint convincingly. Fabio Di Giannantonio started from pole and was second. The picture that had emerged from Thailand, Aprilia dominant, Ducati scrambling, looked like it might be a track-specific anomaly. The conditions in Brazil had been difficult and unpredictable. Maybe Ducati had simply adapted better. Maybe Sunday would look different. Sunday looked nothing like Saturday. Bezzecchi took the lead at turn 1 and was never seen again. Jorge Martin, still finding his rhythm on the RSGP after a 2025 season that nearly ended his career, crossed the line second for Aprilia's first ever Premier Class 1-2. 3 seconds separated Bezzecchi from the field at the finish. On a shortened race, on a circuit nobody had data for, after a Friday where he was nearly 2 seconds off the front. Marquez, fighting for a podium he needed, lost it to a loose patch of asphalt at turn 11 where the track was breaking apart. Not a strategic error, not a tyre gamble, the surface itself. He crossed the line 4th, and Bagnaia crashed out on lap 11, chasing machinery that should have been far behind him. Massimo Rivola, watching from the Aprilia pit wall, kept his tone measured, but the numbers around him told a different story. 2 race weekends don't change Aprilia's status, he said. There are still 40 races left, and everything can still change. Then he said something else that lands differently when you look at the constructors' standings. Having 4 fast riders with 4 fast bikes is a huge help. That's why I insisted in the past, when I saw 8 Ducatis with strong riders. It's an advantage, and now that we have 4 riders with good bikes, we see that we can keep improving with every session. And then, asked about managing Bezzecchi and Martin as genuine title contenders alongside each other, I know that we will have to manage it soon. It's good that we have that kind of level of rider. Do you think Aprilia's dominance in the Sunday races is a genuine shift in the balance of power? Or does the season look completely different once MotoGP gets to Austin and Jerez? Drop your answer in the comments. The Saturday versus Sunday split is worth sitting with. Marquez won the sprint. Di Giannantonio was second, Aprilia 4th. 24 hours later, Aprilia first and second, Ducati fourth, and crashed. The same machines, the same riders, the same circuit. What changed was the track surface, which degraded significantly through the Moto2 and Moto3 races before the Premier class went out. And what that degradation exposed, across every piece of data from the weekend, was that the Ducati struggled far more than the Aprilia, when grip became inconsistent and the surface stopped behaving predictably. That is not a coincidence at 2 consecutive race weekends. That is a characteristic, and characteristics do not disappear when the calendar moves on. Bagnaia had already named it after Thailand. At the moment, we're no longer the fastest. In Brazil, he did not get the chance to say it again. He was already on the ground by lap 11. Marquez, who is 5th in the standings, is already 22 points behind Bezzecchi after 2 rounds. Aprilia leads the Constructors' Championship by 17 points. Bezzecchi leads the Riders' standings. Martin is 2nd. And Rivola, keeping his feet on the ground publicly, privately knows exactly what those numbers mean. It's obviously easy to have illusions after 2 such positive races, but I think that the next 2, Austin and Jerez, will give us a more complete picture. He is right that Austin will tell us something Goiânia could not. Marquez has won at the Circuit of the Americas 7 times. It is the circuit where his talent has always been most untouchable, where the track's combination of heavy braking and fast direction changes has historically played into everything Ducati does well. If Aprilia can go there and challenge him on that ground, on his track, in conditions that should favour raw Ducati performance, then the question Bagnaia raised after Thailand will no longer be a question. It will be an answer. Is Aprilia's Sunday dominance a structural advantage that will hold across the full season? Or will Ducati's engineering depth reassert itself once the calendar moves to circuits where raw power matters more? With Bezzecchi leading and Martin 2nd, does Rivola now face a harder decision than he expected about which rider Aprilia truly backs? And is the Saturday versus Sunday split? Ducati faster in qualifying and the sprint Aprilia dominant in the race. A pattern that fundamentally changes how we should read Ducati's championship chances. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe. There is a lot more of this coming. Leave your answers in the comments below. And if Aprilia can do this at Austin, then Ducati didn't just lose a race. They lost control of MotoGP.